Hi, I'm Gjersee, Chief Operating Officer for Top Level Management. Here for Whiteboard Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for coming along. Today our topic is identifying a franchise that is right for you. That's our topic, and the objective, I always like to start things with an objective. An objective today really is two different things. Number one, review the top 5 questions you should ask yourself before becoming part of a franchise system. And the second one is understand your homework before you make a decision. And the third one, which is probably the most important, don't talk about Fight Club. Question number 1 is franchising right for me versus small business ownership? A lot of people will ask, what's the difference? Small business owner, let's say they're going to start a pizza place, they're going to need to come up with the logo, determine the location, determine the menu, determine maybe what goes on the pizzas, the food cost, advertising budgets, really ground up business ownership. That is for a lot of people. A lot of people like the freedom of small business ownership versus possibly working in a franchise organization. A franchise organization is going to be more proven. When you think about a franchise organization, they have done a lot of the homework. They have determined, let's just say with a pizza concept, they would have determined what makes a good location. They would have determined what type of equipment you need. They would have determined what's the menu, what's the make of the product, what's the food cost possibly, what's the pricing. Question 2. So when we're thinking about question 2 out of 5 questions of why you would pick a specific franchise over another, what am I interested in or passionate about? So determine the industry that you find most interesting. You may have some background in. It could be food, could be service, but what is the thing that interests you the most? Skills that align with you. So what are you good at? What do you feel, along with the passion, do you have the skill set to be successful? It could be food. You may have background in restaurants. You understand how a business model may work within the restaurant business. Or maybe it's service-based. It could be printing. What are the things that you understand? Maybe you have a background in finance, so it could be consulting. Look at the things that align with your skill set so you don't have to start from the beginning. Question number 3 is, what type of research should I do? As you look at potential businesses, one of the most important things you have to do and ask yourself is, what type of research, what kind of information do I want to take a look at before I make a decision? So the first one, when you think about it, it was kind of like question number 2 when we talk about passion. First thing is, what industry am I interested in? So when you think about industry, we use pizza as an example in the past. Pizza's been around a long time, right? There is tons of data on the pizza industry. So that's easy to determine. Is the pizza industry, that segment, on an uptick, a growth, or is it on a decline? So you have to ask yourself that. Maybe it's an industry there isn't a lot of information on. Maybe there's a lot of buzz about health and wellness, maybe a massage business. So is massage, the industry of massage, growing or declining? What is the 5-year projection within that industry? Second question that you want to do some research on, what are the brands within that segment? Okay, so pizza is a great example. So you could say, what are the franchise concepts are within the pizza industry? So you could take a look at, make a list of all the franchise pizza brands out there, or it could be massage or whatever your interest you. Take a look at those brands specifically. How long have they been around? What is their track record? Have they been on a growth spurt? Have they been declining? Are they a relatively new concept? Are they relatively mature? How many locations do they have? Any litigation? Where might I find that information? There's something called, and this is not for today, but we'll call this a Lucky Strike Extra, so we'll give this to you. In fact, Lucky Strike Extras today will be written in red. It's called an FDD. For those of you that don't know what an FDD is and you're looking into franchising, it's important to know it's a federal disclosure document. Each franchise concept is required to have one, and it will list a ton of information about their business, how many locations they have, whether they project to open any litigation. The third one would be business model. We'll call it the model. So the business model, do I understand how this business operates? I may be someone who's been in the restaurant industry a long time, so I understand the implications of revenue, the implications of cost, food cost, labor cost, equipment cost, so on and so forth. Do I understand what makes the business model go? Here's another big one. Competition. As I reference pizza again, if you think about, there's tons of competition in the pizza industry. Is that good or bad? They all struggle for the same market share. So you think about a pie, and you think about it's all diced and sliced up in a certain way, and some brands get more than others. Maybe it's in a business that is relatively not littered with a ton of competition, and you're trying to build market share, build awareness. So you have to ask yourself, what are the competitors in the space? How well do they do? Who am I up against? Who am I competing against on a day-to-day basis for that customer? The last one, there's 5 bullets here. We'll call it availability. When you're doing some research, you may be looking at a territory. You may be looking at a site. You may be looking at a region. Ask yourself, is it available? Ask the franchisor, is it available? Is this zip code available? Is this site available? Maybe you found a great site in a great shopping center, but when you look at it, maybe it competes with another franchisee, so it's not available. So when you think about all the information you're trying to put together, whether you're using FDD, the internet, the franchisor, to build a case of why I would choose one franchise versus another. Question 4, we're on the home stretch of 5 questions on how to pick a franchise that's right for you. What is my investment level or capital situation? Investment level, if you look in the FDD, that was Lucky Strike Extra number 1, it will show you, I believe it's item 19, that will show you the investment level of a franchise. It's a range, so it will tell you everything from the franchise fee to construction to equipment, the various things it takes to open up the business or investment level. You need to take a look at that and understand the range. The range will exist based upon a lot of times region, so California versus Alabama and so on and so forth. Construction may be a different price or cost there, so on and so forth. The franchise fee should stay relatively the same. So what's my investment level or capital situation? One thing is capital situation. How much money do I have to spend on this business? How much money do I need to take a loan out? How much money do I have in my 401k for a rollover? How much do I have in my savings? That will push you towards certain brands. So when you're doing your research, like we talked about in the prior question, brands will dictate or list what does it cost to buy and open a McDonald's versus a smaller business, maybe a Subway. You'll see that will push you in a certain direction. One of the key things here, we'll call this Lucky Strike Extra number 2. So we'll go with number 2. When you think about your capital situation, it's not just what does it take to open the business. It is more so, or important to note, how do I live? So that's not in the FDD. Are you going to continue to work your current job while you do this business? Last time I checked, a good percentage of us have a mortgage, have credit cards, need to go to the grocery store, may have kids in college, car payments, basically bills that you need to live on. So when you think about what do I need capital-wise to do this investment, think about the business, but also think about what it takes to live during the ramp up. So below here, I'm going to give you a lucky strike extra number 3. That's 2 in one question. That doesn't happen very often, so you guys, audience, are pretty lucky today. So this is what it costs to get it open, right? So what's my investment level? And we'll say plus living expenses. What's my capital situation? How much money do I have to do this business? And then I start to think about, I've spent this to get this business opening and operating. What's my ROI, return on investment? Or how do I get, the first thing I hear people say is, how do I get to break even? For those of you, and I think most people understand break even by the standing statement of, I'm not putting money into the business, but I'm not taking money, not getting any money out. I don't like that word. So when you think about it, I spent X, let's just say it's $500,000 to get this thing working. I have 0 ROI because I'm not putting money in, I'm not taking money out. And I'm at break even. If your goal is to get to break even, that's your goal as a business owner, stop right now. Okay, so break even doesn't make you money, right? The thing you need to think about, and I probably shouldn't write it in red, but just for so everyone can see it, we'll call it profit. How do I become profitable? That needs to be everyone's goal, right? So I invested some money in a business. I become profitable, then I can start to look at my return on investment. So when you think about your capital situation, most small businesses, and this is just kind of an average, take 12 plus months to at least hit break-even, if not hit profitability. So when you think about, I need to have my living expenses added into this, I need to be able to live somehow during this thing because my business isn't throwing off any cash for at least 12 months. And then question 5. So this is pretty exciting stuff. Question 5 is, what is your plan? So when you think about what's a plan, it's funny. It's actually not that funny. I ask franchisees all the time, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? And surprisingly, most of them don't. They know that my plan is I get up the next day and I unlock the door, I turn the open sign on, I count the till down, I make sure the employees show up, maybe I make sure the customers are happy. That's my plan. If you think about business ownership, that is not a plan. That's living in the moment. So to grow your business over the next multiple months to not break even but profitability, you need to have a plan. When you talk about plan or goals, what's my short-term plan? What's my short-term goal? Do I have a goal for the day? Do I have a goal for the week? Do I have a goal for the month, for the quarter, for the year? You should understand, what is it going to take me to get to what I need to be at. Profitability. So when you first open a business, that should be your goal, is to make a profit. Right? So understand that. What's my long-term goal? This kind of turns into a strategy also. What do I want to do with my business? So when I think about my business, I'm going to grow it, usually a term of a franchise agreement, so around 10 years. What am I going to do over that term? Am I going to grow it to profitability and sell it? Am I growing it to profitability and open another one, multi-unit ownership? Or do I have an exit strategy? I'm going to get to the end of 10 years, the business is extremely profitable, and I decide to sell it for a profit. That's my ROI we talked about. So when you think about your plan, it's not just good enough to have do the research and understand what's the brand for me, but what is my plan when I go into the business, setting goals and working towards those goals, short-term and long-term strategy.